of Mindset Revolution with Raquel. I'm really excited to bring you this particular topic on debunking manifestation. There's a lot of information out there on how to manifest the kind of life that you want. So I wanted to go ahead and go through the top 3 things that people either ask me about or I see over and over again. I'm in Chicago, so you might hear some urban noise in the background. So if you're listening to this in on Spotify or Anchor, you might hear a couple things, and that's okay. This is also a reminder that if you want to do a podcast, you just do the best you can with what you have at the time and just do it instead of waiting for everything to be perfect, because nothing's ever going to be perfect. And if you wait until the perfect time, the time would never come. So let's get right into it. The first thing I wrote down was visualize it to receive it. Yes and no. The information that you hear about this is not incorrect, it's incomplete. If you already have a wild imagination, visualizing your end result is very easy for you. This is also probably why you're wondering, why isn't my vision board actually working for me? There are different modalities around using a vision board or visualizing, but this is the truth. And the main thing that you need to take away about visualizing is that you will never go any farther than what you can see. Yes, that means seeing it, but also how you see yourself. Your identity center is what's going to cause you to procrastinate or to move forward. Most of the time in these spaces, what you hear is really focusing on reprogramming your subconscious. And for those of you who are new to this, it's because your subconscious runs your reactions and your responses more than 95% of the time. Most of the time, you are not in free will. Most of the time, you are responding based on your perceptions and your belief systems. So your belief systems, most of it is housed in your subconscious. But what's not talked about in this space is that it's also in your heart space. We're told in the good book to guard our hearts with all diligence, because out of it are the issues, the boundaries, the limitations of your life. This is also your perception area and how you see yourself, what you identify with. So when you're trying to manifest something, you can do a lot of subconscious work. But if your identity center is different, you'll get some hits, but it won't be consistent. Or it will take a really long time before you manifest what you want. In visualizing specifically, if you don't have a wild imagination, you might find this particular method difficult for you. So what do you do instead? This is something that I discovered recently. Pay attention to how you get your aha moments. Do you see a flash in a picture? That's visualizing. Do you get a download? Like, oh, you just connecting those ideas. You're able to discern the patterns. Perhaps you hear it. I was just posting on TikTok. Someone asked me a question, and I was answering with, I can hear the truth. Now, there's a difference between divine truth and facts. Divine truth is the highest form of reality. Facts is what's already manifested and what you can see, but facts can change. People say, well, I want to live out my truth. You're always living out your truth because that's your belief system. That's how you identify. It doesn't mean that it's the truth. It is not always the highest form of reality. I'm circling back to the visualization. I recognized a couple of weeks ago, because I don't always see things clearly in the visualization. I find it sometimes, or have found it cumbersome. I've done vision boards I've taken a lot of classes, and I do believe that what you have in front of you impacts how you're going to manifest. But now I understand it in a higher capacity. So I'm hoping, and I know that this will help someone. How I get my aha moments is how I can manifest faster. So if I want to visualize, because I have such a strong sense of hearing, and I get a lot of my aha moments from hearing, I can visualize easier if I put on music that already has what I want to embody. I can put on music and dance around. I can put on certain kinds of music that really inspires me. And then it leads me to visualize. But do you always have to visualize in order for you to manifest? Clarity is power. The main thing you need is clarity. So however that clarity comes for you is what you should be leaning on. So if vision boards are not working for you, if you're trying to visualize and you can't see yourself in it, a lot of times we can't see ourselves in it because the people around us are not living it. It's hard for us to embody something we have not experienced. And there are different methods that you can use to kind of bridge yourself into that visualization. But I want you first to try what's easiest for you. What is already your superpower? What is already working for you? If you start making a list of the things that have happened to you that happen easily, whether you like it or not, even the things that are unpleasant are going to help you with this. Write it down. What were you doing or thinking that really helped to nurture that thing? And whether, again, it's something that is unpleasant or not, both experiences are giving you the information that you require. So do you need to visualize it in order to receive it? No. But you need to be clear. You need to receive it for yourself. You need to identify with it. And when you do, you will start to receive things faster. Your belief system has to be in alignment with it. Now, if you're having trouble with that, we'll pause here. How can then you fix that particular issue? There are a lot of different modalities. I'm a hypnotherapy practitioner. I have a cognitive behavior certification. So I do a lot of rewiring from the inside out for my clients. So what I do with them, and everyone who's done this with me has had breakthroughs in a matter of 2 to 3 days because it works. Doing things like hypnosis, self-hypnosis, scripting, EFTs, which you might know as tapping, working with a coach. A coach is great because coaches help you to go faster. You can certainly do it on your own. You absolutely can. But working with a coach just helps you to get there faster because they already know about the pitfalls and they can see what you don't see yet. But you can certainly do it on your own. You can go through different exercises based on your perceived superpowers. Your gifts are an indicator of how you can move faster. One of the things that I used before was human design, and I still use it on occasion. And in human design is a certain modality where it really shows you how you are wired up. Sometimes people get upset when I say it's like a personality. It shows you your personality gift cluster. And that's my understanding in order for me to utilize it for my own life. For me, it is no different than using something like DISC or the Myers-Briggs. It's just another element of understanding how you're wired up. And in human design, it shows you if you're a specific or non-specific manifester. According to that, I am a specific manifester. But What I've noticed is when I get too specific, it actually gives me anxiety. It doesn't actually work for me. But when I look at my disc model, it's because I am a ID, which is an influencer dominant. But when I'm working, I'm actually, well, I'm all four, depending on my mood. But when what I'm doing, but when I'm manifesting, I am the creative dominant. So what does that mean for me? That means that it has to be fun. It has to be easy. It has to be bullet point. I cannot go into the details because I get lost in the details. When I am in my natural state with people, I'm a double people person. I call salt of the earth, which is this calls it steady, and an influencer creative, double people person. When I'm working, I'm a task animal. I'm a critical thinker and a dominant. This is why it's important for you to understand how you are uniquely made, because we're not all one thing, we're multidimensional. And so depending on what I'm doing, I use the different parts of who I am. So understanding that I am a specific manifester doesn't mean that I get too specific. When I did this exercise of how is it that I was manifesting things, I would just simply write it down. And that became my visualization. The words were my vision board. And I bullet pointed what I wanted. It worked every single time that I did a big thing. I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed. And when I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, I need to remember that. I actually have to like write it down and put it on a Post-it to remind myself of how to do things faster, because there's so much in my head that I can forget what really works for me because I'm so interested in other people and helping them. But it's one of those things like physicians heal yourself. And I know what to do for myself. I just have to, like everybody else, practice and do it. So if you're having trouble visualizing, it could just be because you're not utilizing your unique design. And if you need help with that, I have a lot of free events that I do. So I encourage you to go to yourdreamlife.coach and see when my next free event is. The next one, when I'm recording this, will be on 10/10 about the abundant life. My clients call me their manifestation sensei. So if you want to manifest your dream life, then I invite you to make sure to be part of my email list. I also have other free things that you can download right away in order for you to start creating the life that you want. Going on to the second thing, feeling into it in order to receive it. Well, if you're a very left brain or critical thinker, this might be difficult for you because your gifting is to be able to see the pitfalls. Your gifting, even if you're a dominant personality, is not in the feeling. It's in the being able to see the big picture and go after it. So again, it's understanding how you are wired up. When they talk about feeling into it in order to receive it, what they mean is embodying it. But what they fail to communicate is going back to what I've already said, which is what do you identify with? Also, sometimes in these spaces, people count too much on their feelings. What are feelings? It is the language of your subconscious. It is the language of your belief system. And so feelings can lie because they're just exposing what you're already saying to yourself in the quiet, in the back of your mind, and in your heart space. So when you have feelings towards something, a feeling comes up, and there's a difference between feelings and emotions. Think about emotions, energy, and motion, and it just comes up, right? Really fast, and it can dissipate. For instance, you can be in a really great mood, singing along in the car, somebody cuts you off, and then you might go into a not so pleasant space. And then you kind of come back to it, right? So those are emotions. It comes up and it dissipates fast. Feelings come up slowly to help you see the conversation that you're actually having with yourself in the quiet of your mind and in your heart. So that's the difference. And that's why feelings can lie, because you might have an erroneous belief system or have an erroneous view of yourself. And because you do, because perception is everything, you will start to feel a certain way about it. The great thing is that that can be rewired. And that's often what I help people do in these free events. So again, I encourage you to go to yourdreamlife.coach and check out when I'm going to have the next free event and get all my free stuff while you're there. A lot of times in these spaces, they're like, well, if you don't feel into it, you're not going to be able to manifest. Going back to critical thinkers, that's not your gift. So then when you're trying to feel into it, you're like, well, I don't really run by feelings. I go by facts. I go by what I can see. I go by the black and white. Again, it's rewiring to the divine truth of who you are and what your purposes are. And also embodying the fact that you're made in the image and likeness of God, which means you're made to function like him. And because you are, then you can then take your place as this divine, beautiful, amazing, wonderful creature. The thing is, you're already doing this. You're just not doing it by design. And start to activate the reality you want through your words. Words are containers of power. They carry death and life in them. And that is the main way where you can start drawing in the reality that you want. And if you don't have any, what is the phrase I'm trying to think of? Not love, but appreciation for words, then that could be why you're having trouble manifesting. Because the main way you're going to manifest is when you act like God. If you want heaven on earth, if you want the results that God has, then you need to imitate what God does. And he never does anything without saying it first. I'll unpack that on another day. So going back to feeling into it, it's not so much of you feeling like you're in it, although that can help. But it's really about rewiring and reprogramming yourself to feel like it's yours because you identify with it. Your identity is connected to it. You identify with that particular thing. For instance, I've heard, it's say from people who have money, it's not that I don't have money. I'm not rich. I just don't have any money right now. People who identify with being poor, they're like, what's the difference that you're saying that you're poor? And to the rich person, they're like, no, I'm just saying that I don't have money right now. There's a difference. What is it? Perception. Your perception runs things. You can also have this contrary belief system where you mentally ascend and say, yes, I deserve this. Yes, I believe this. Let's talk about money, because everybody wants a little bit more, even if you have some. More than enough. Everybody wants a little bit more. You might, on one hand, say, I deserve this. I want this. I know it's mine. And yet have a contradictory belief system like money is evil. People who have money are miserable. Look at the way the rich are. They have all this money and yet they're jumping off of buildings. They don't have their house together. They're still in massive debt. They seem like they really don't like their life. Why would I want to have money and still be miserable. So even though you're working, you end up self-sabotaging, because although you know you're made for excellence and for success. I love the book title from Jim Richards. We're wired for success, but we're programmed for failure. That's a great book, by the way. But I say that all the time as just a phrase. We're wired for success, but we're programmed for failure. So your wiring is saying, yes, I am wired for success. Neuroscience is showing we're wired for it. It's proof. We're wired for love. But we're programmed for these negative things. And part of the negative things is this very dark mirror of, yes, I know I'm supposed to be successful, but look at the people around me. And at some point, you're going to have to decide, do you want to continue to be like the people around you? Or will you be brave enough to invest in yourself and start to reprogram and rewire yourself in order for you to live out the fullness of your potential? After all, it's your potential. It's your purpose. It's your design. You have been given a clean slate. And it's up to you to decide what you will live out. Some of the phrases that I absolutely hate. Hate is a strong word, but when I hear them, I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so cringy. Whatever is for me will be for me. That's not true. Whatever is for you, you still have to receive for yourself. You still have to follow those intuitive prompts. You still have to believe that it's for you. You still have to identify that that's yours. Another one similar to that is whatever God has for you is for you and nothing can stop it. Not true. Because God wants you successful. He wired you for that. He wants you to flow in love. He wired you for that. He didn't give you fear. The good book says that he did not give you a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a well-disciplined mind. That's what he gave you. But we want to say, well, if God wanted me to have it, I would have it. There is a trust fund for you. And like all trust funds, there is a protocol to receive what's in it. You already have everything. Everything's already for you there. Quantum physics shows us that that is true. All possibilities and probabilities exist. They're in the quantum field. But if you are not identifying yourself with what that dream is, if you are having a disconnect in your belief system, it doesn't matter how much God wants you to have it. He will not violate your free will. And even if you don't believe in God, it's irrelevant. I have a lot of clients who have a belief system that the universe provides. But then when you listen to the languaging, they say it's an abundant universe, and yet they're still in a scarcity mindset. Why? Then, well, if spirit wanted me to have it, I would have it. That's not the way it works. What is revealed to you is restored to you. Going back to feelings. If you feel as though you're living out some kind of bad karma, you're actually creating the bad karma based on your belief system. In my world, when you hear beeps and stuff, that's like somebody needed to understand and know that that's divine truth and pay attention to what I just said. This is why feelings lie. You are actually receiving more of what you already have. And if you don't like it, change your feelings, change your belief system, change your programming, because you are wired for everything that you want. Every good and perfect thing, it's already yours. But you have to come in alignment with that. And the way you align to it is by changing how you think about yourself, how you perceive yourself, which is not as difficult as you think it is. which is the last one, it's hard to manifest. Yes and no. It's hard when you're going against your own beautiful, unique design. It is hard when you are not leveraging what makes you unique and what makes you special. It is hard when you have not recognized that the reason you're not living your abundant life is because you have not reprogrammed to the divine truth. The divine truth is that you are made on purpose for a purpose, that you are the answer to what people are seeking, that those dreams that have been downloaded into you came from up above. But everything has been given to you in seed form. Just like our words are seeds, and they will produce after its kind. But if you're saying you want one thing and then speaking against it, for instance, I know a lot of single people who say they want to be with somebody, but then let's say that, female and they want a man. They're like, I want to be with my soulmate. I want to be with the love of my life. But then they're always talking crap about men. Liking videos and watching videos that are always putting men in a bad light, talking crap about them, saying how men are trash. Why would you get magnetized to your soulmate? There's actually more than one. A divine soulmate, when you're always seeding into yourself the opposite through your words and through what you're liking and commenting. When you like and comment on something, you are adding your agreement to it. Now, I know you're like, well, it's just funny to me. Why is it funny to you? Maybe because of your current experience or the experiences that you see around people. But men are not trash. Just like women are not trash. None of us are. You can't speak against what you say you want, just like with the money. You can't say you want it, and everybody wants it, because otherwise you'd be working for free. Or you wouldn't be complaining when you don't get a raise. Let you not get a raise, you'll start complaining. Why? Because money's important to you. Because you want to get paid what you're worth, or what you believe you're worth, or what you believe the value of what you're putting your hand to is. You can't say you want one thing, and then in the next breath, you're cursing it. People think that saying like the F word is a curse. It's a curse word. No, it's not. You are cursing something every time you speak negatively about it, including yourself. Maybe you call it bad karma. You are actually activating that every time you speak negatively. You don't have to use the F word. The F word is just the F word. It's not a curse word. You're like, oh, it's a swear word. You're swearing all the time. You're swearing your allegiance to something all the time. And I know you like certain people, but do they have the life that you want? I guarantee you that if they're talking about if they have a good relationship, they're not talking about men or women in a derogatory way. And if they are, it's just a matter of time between, what is that phrase? Art imitating life. Because you can't, again, speak against what you say that you want. You can't say that men are trash and then want one. Women are trash and then you want one. Because guess what you're going to bring into your life? It's not the law of attraction. It doesn't get attracted to you. You are actually magnetized to it. It is a law of recognition. It is a law of magnetism. You are magnetized to what you say you want, and you believe. Did you hear me? So if you are dating and you're like, well, I can't manifest my soulmate. All these men are trash. I met my beloved on an app. All these men on these apps. Maybe you don't know how to vet them. Maybe you don't have some insight on the questions to ask in the first 2 dates to weed them out, because there's a lot of great people out there, but they're not a great match for you. It doesn't mean they're trash. It's not hard to manifest. What's hard really is your stinking thinking. What's hard is in reprogramming yourself, pausing, recognizing where you have activated those realities through your affirmations. Affirmations are more than just you saying something. You are affirming that reality when you like or comment, when you share, when you download. I remember watching or hearing about the show Sex Life. And I watched the first 20 minutes. I said, I don't want to watch this. To me, it's garbage. And I told my beloved, I said, this is what the whole show's about. He watched the whole thing and he said, you figured that out in 20 minutes. I'm like, yeah, and I don't want that in my experience. I don't want to watch that. Why would I want to watch that? I found that character to be the woman to be very selfish and self-centered and not appreciative of her husband. There was opportunities in the first 20 minutes where she could have gone down and dirty with him. And she's complaining about her sex life, but then I didn't see her doing her part. You can watch that. She's not happy in her marriage. And so she goes somewhere else at the end, right? She is romanticizing her past lovers who treated her like garbage. Garbage. Or romanticizing the sexy parts. Really? Is that what you want to invite into your life? Wow, the sexy parts are great, but the guy treats me like garbage. He cheats on me. He gaslights me. He ghosts me. But ooh, that D is good. Really? Is that the kind of man you want to attract into your life? This is why manifestation is hard. Because we're very quick to feed our eye gate and ear gate with garbage. And at the same time want the opposite of it. If you want something you've never had, you're going to have to do something you've never done. And that might mean not allowing your eyes and ears to hear and watch and to digest things that are opposite of what you say you want in your life. Have you seen that show? What is it about? Does it sound like something you want in your life? Yeah, you're going to have to get radical, especially if you have all these belief systems that are contradictory to what you say you want. How bad do you want it? That's why it's hard, because you don't want to, and I'm not just saying you, but me too. Not wanting to lay down our ego. That's part of the ego part. Is that really what I want? No. Then let me feed myself what I want. Why? Because we're told in the good book, you will prosper and be in health as your soul prospers. Your soul is your mind, your will, and your emotions. If you feed your mind right, your will or your willingness to do something or not do something in alignment will happen organically. And then your emotions, your energy emotion will follow. But people want to work on the emotions, on the feeling, on the vision part first. No, feed your mind. When you feed your mind correctly, everything else follows organically like dominoes. You'll be surprised how fast you can manifest when you start to get your mind right. And that's really the name of the game. It's your mind, your beautiful mind, the way you think. It is as unique as a fingerprint. And if you are not guarding your soul, if you are not guarding that mind, you will find yourself self-sabotaging. You will find your emotions erratic. Guard yourself. Choose wisely what you put in your eye gates and in your ear gates. And everything else will follow suit because it already does by default. It's time for you to live by design. I would love to hear what you have to say. And if you don't agree, that's even better because then we can have a discussion or I can talk about it on the next podcast. So until next time, which will be very, very soon, don't forget to go ahead and like, comment, and share if you feel that this resonated with you or you found or that this is somebody that you think will be really helpful. And also let me know what kind of things that you would like to unpack. What would you like me to unpack for you? I'll be also bringing on some amazing guests into this podcast and vlogcast here on Mindset Revolution with Raquel. Don't forget that I have amazing things for you to download at yourdreamlife.coach. Until next time, may all God's riches and best be yours.